Here's your wrestling news for July 7th, 2022, and we're kicking off today with AEW as Christian Cage continued his heel turn, cutting another scathing promo on Jungle Boy. For the third week straight, Cage has disrespected Jungle Boy and his family, and has even won over Luchasaurus, who has turned on his now ex-tag team partner. This week, though, Cage didn't have long to speak as he was interrupted by Matt Hardy, who called out Christian's disrespect, saying Jungle Boy doesn't deserve any of it. Cage did have a cold comeback, though, as he referenced Jeff Hardy's recent DUI arrest, saying that Matt's defense of Jungle Boy is making Jeff sound like the sober brother by comparison. Captain Charisma didn't hold back as he also mentioned Matt's family and added that it's the older Hardy who is more screwed up than Jeff. A fight quickly ensued, but with Luchasaurus present, the heels quickly outnumbered Matt, who was chokeslammed through a table by Luchasaurus. With the Christian-Luchasaurus alliance getting stronger, Jungle Boy may have to recruit Matt to try to put a stop to the new dangerous duo, but even their combined efforts may not be enough for Christian Cage and his new follower. Jeff Hardy may have been referenced on AEW Dynamite, but he didn't appear on the show, as he's still serving out his suspension amid his ongoing legal battle. Now Jeff has a new court date, as he will have his arraignment and bond hearing on August 2nd after being delayed from the original date of July 5th. A written notice has been filed stating that Hardy will plead not guilty of the various charges, including an incredibly serious DUI felony charge against him, and we'll keep following his case as more information comes out. More from AEW now as fans got to see Rush pick up his first singles win since joining the promotion. Taking on Death Triangle member Penta Oscuro, Rush got a pinfall win after a low blow and removing Penta's mask, and fans had a lot to say. Fans took to Twitter to say just how impressed they were with Rush, and with his horned mask, one fan joked that ex-WWE star El Torito is now ripped. After getting this win, it remains to be seen where Rush will go from here, but plenty of fans were happy to see him get the W on this week's Dynamite. Dynamite also saw Jon Moxley headline the show, defending the Interim AEW World Championship against Brody King. King earned the match by winning at Royal Rampage last Friday night, though many didn't fancy his chances in Moxley's first title defense. In the opening stages, both men clobbered each other, but King gained control with a sidewalk slam on Mox, who turned the tide with a series of chops and bites. After a paradigm shift couldn't get the job done, Moxley locked in the Bulldog choke, ultimately making King pass out to successfully retain his title. With King now in the rearview mirror, it'll be interesting to see who steps up to Moxley next, and if anyone on the roster can dethrone him ahead of the return of CM Punk. Brody King may have come up short in his quest for AEW gold, but a title did change hands on last night's show. On the show, Wardlow finally added a championship to his resume in AEW, dethroning Scorpio Sky to win the TNT title. With Wardlow's clear size advantage over the champion, Dan Lambert set out members of American Top Team to help Sky, but Mr. Mayhem was able to overcome the odds. On social media, fans were ecstatic over the news, with some pointing out that Wardlow has won a title before MJF, and Tony Khan himself congratulated the new TNT champion via tweet. Wardlow did compete for the TNT title earlier this year, but had that opportunity squandered by MJF, but the new champion continues to go from strength to strength without the salt of the earth around. Over to WWE now, as for years, Drew McIntyre has been one of the promotion's biggest stars, but you wouldn't know it by recent booking. Drew's last big feud ended by defeating Happy Corbin at WrestleMania 3 months ago, and he's since had little direction on SmackDown. This is hardly the booking that a two-time former WWE champion, who carried the company through a pandemic, deserves, but there's a reason for the promotion's inaction. Sources have indicated the WWE does have big plans for McIntyre and want to involve him in a major feud, but right now are thinking up opponents, which explains why he's done little as of late. It's also reported that there's some conflict behind the scenes about what should come next for Drew, as Kevin Dunn and Bruce Prichard want McIntyre to lay low for at least another month. The two believe that Drew's next big feud should be with Tyson Fury, who has been in talks recently over a WWE return, and hope to see the two face off at September's Clash at the Castle. The pair believe a feud with Fury would only do McIntyre a world of favors, as the two have been teasing a match for years and have even called a match with the Gypsy King a career peak for the two-time former WWE champion. On the other hand, WWE CEO Stephanie McMahon would rather see McIntyre feud with Riddle, and the interim chairwoman is reportedly very high on the original bro and believes a program with Drew would cement Riddle as a main event talent. A tenured member of the writing team has said that there have been a ton of back-and-forth discussions and even verbal altercations during creative sessions, which has left the writing team on edge. Interestingly, on TV, McIntyre hasn't teased the Fury match or a Riddle feud, but has instead challenged Roman Reigns for an undisputed WWE Universal title match at the Premium Live event in Cardiff, Wales. Ultimately, Stephanie McMahon will decide what happens, as is the role of WWE CEO, but the next few months will prove to be an interesting time for the Scottish Warrior. In September 2021, Vince McMahon usurped control of WWE NXT from his son-in-law Triple H and transformed the popular Gold brand into NXT 2.0. After months away, Triple H recently made an appearance in Orlando telling everyone, "I'm back," but he's not as back as people may first think. According to PW Insider, Triple H's apparent return to NXT has changed nothing backstage, as the creative team still answers to Bruce Prichard, a Vince McMahon-endorsed appointee. The brand is still managed by Shawn Michaels, who took over the role from Triple H after the latter's cardiac event in September, and the writing team remains the same. Johnny Russo is serving as head writer alongside Nick Bonanno and George Carroll, who returned to WWE after leaving this past January. When Triple H gave his "I'm back" declaration, many fans thought this would mark the return of the original NXT, which was much better received than NXT 2.0, but that clearly isn't the case. In March, Theory was the last-minute opponent for then WWE Champion Brock Lesnar at a live event in Madison Square Garden, and Theory's involvement wasn't just kept secret from the fans. Theory spoke about his career with Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp and said that even he didn't know the title match with Lesnar was happening up until the last minute. Yeah, just within the past 6 months, going from being on the winning team at Survivor Series to the Royal Rumble, lasting over 20 minutes, going all the way to Saudi Arabia for the Elimination Chamber and surviving with Brock Lesnar, and then main eventing MSG with Brock Lesnar? Like you said, now we're here. Unfortunately, my WrestleMania match is against a guy named Patrick McAfee. I had somebody today, they're like, "You know his name's Patrick, right?" I'm like, this guy. Just awful. I didn't know I was challenging Lesnar until probably an hour before. Yeah, we had the card in the back and it just said Brock versus, and there was just nothing there. Then I was like, wow, this is just a Theory, isn't it? Theory came up short against the Beast on that occasion, but with the Money in the Bank briefcase in his possession, it may just be a matter of time before the young superstar wins the big one. With the Money in the Bank briefcase in his possession, it's no wonder why many people consider Theory a future world champion, and that includes his rivals. Money in the Bank 2022 also saw Theory lose the United States Championship to Bobby Lashley, but even the Almighty has to respect Mr. Money in the Bank. Breaking kayfabe to speak to Ariel Helwani of BT Sport, Lashley had nothing but praise for Theory, saying, "Man, by the time he's age, he's gonna be on a stack of money as high as this building. He's gonna be a super duper star. 23 years old, that kid has everything in his future. I can see him being a multiple-time world champion. He's gonna be going after Cena's record. He's gonna be going after Ric Flair's record. He's going to be setting some new records that you would never imagine. The kid is extremely talented." It's especially interesting given that Lashley is currently embroiled in a feud with Theory, with a United States title match set for SummerSlam. Only time will tell if Theory lives up to the expectations Lashley has for him, but with Vince McMahon on his side and the Money in the Bank briefcase in his hand, things certainly look bright for Theory. We've got some news from Paige now, whose contract with WWE has come to an end. The former Divas champion announced weeks ago that her deal was ending on July 7th, and that it was WWE who chose to end her employment with the company. On the eve of her departure, Paige posted an emotional letter and made it clear how grateful she is to the company. Paige, now going by her real name Soraya, said how when a series of issues mounted up, including wellness policy violations, her neck injury, a sex tape, and heavy drinking, she considered herself a liability to the company, but WWE got her the help she needed. Paige ended by speaking of WWE Interim Chairwoman Stephanie McMahon, saying that the current CEO was able to calm her down during an anxiety attack in 2017, shortly before her on-screen return. The now former WWE star is set to appear at StarCast 5 later this month, as well as appearing in her hometown of Norwich, England this October. And we'll have to see what Saraya does now, 11 years after signing with WWE. In WWE, few stars have had as much success in as short a time as Bianca Belair, who is dominating as the reigning Raw Women's Champion. The EST of WWE won her title back at WrestleMania, dethroning Becky Lynch, but she's now looking to add more gold to her collection. Sitting down with Wrestling Inc., Belair spoke about her career and the possibility of unifying the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. I mean, listen, I have a lot on my resume right now in a very short amount of time, so that's another nothing I can add to the resume. I would like to have 2 golds on both shoulders. I mean, gold is my favorite color. Belair is a former SmackDown Women's Champion, having won the title back at WrestleMania 37, and would love to win it again at the expense of current champion Liv Morgan. Despite WWE having unified the world titles and tag team gold, there are no reported plans for the women's championships to be unified, but Belair is more than ready should the company go in that direction. And we're ending with more news from Bianca Belair, who was recently confronted by a fan at a very inconvenient time. Last week, the Raw Women's Champion's car was followed for over half an hour by a fan who waited until there was traffic before jumping out to try and get a photo and an autograph. Clearly, this isn't the right way to go about having a meet and greet with any wrestler, and in an interview to Wrestling Inc., Belair gave her advice to fans who take things too far. I love all the love and support that they give me, but when we're outside of the WWE wrestling space, or at nighttime especially, I know it might seem like it's fun, all in the name of fun, but there are boundaries. Sometimes I'm traveling alone, sometimes I'm with my husband, sometimes I'm with my kids. We just have to have boundaries to keep everyone safe. As the Raw Women's Champion and one of the most talented women on the roster, it's no wonder why Belair has a ton of fans, but those few who take things way too far need to be taught a lesson. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.